This is class 11 of Masechet Makkot. The date is Or Lerimel Adar Taf Shin Peh. English date, what is it? February 27th? February 27th, thank you. February 27, 2020. We are on the bottom of Daf Bet, Amud Bet, bottom of the page. We are now going to finish our analysis of the Beraita. In the Beraita, we brought 4 laws that have to do with Edim Zomemim, 4 laws that pertain to Edim Zomemim. And then there was, and then there was a 5th law, or a 5th statement, and this was brought in the name of Rabbi Akiva. Right, remember? So I'm just going to read the statement one more time, and then once I finish reading the statement, we will then read what the Gemara says about that statement. So the statement itself is a little more than halfway down the page. If you look at the wide lines, 1, 2, 3, 4, the 4th wide line from the top. Mishum Rabbi Akiva Amru. Interesting, Mishum Rabbi Akiva Amru, just as a formal note. What does that phrase mean? It doesn't mean Rabbi Akiva Amar.
His school.
So had Rabbi Akiva made a formal statement, it would have said Amar Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva said thus and thus. He didn't say this. Mishum Rabbi Akiva Amru. Apparently, it was his Talmidim that they, shall we say, inferred or learned it from Rabbi Akiva, but it wasn't a specific statement that Rabbi Akiva came at the end of the lesson and said, here is the conclusion. The conclusion is X, Y, Z. No. So it's a little less, right? It's not as powerful as Amar Rabbi Akiva. That's what Mishum Rabbi Akiva Amru means. In the name of Rabbi Akiva, they made the following statement. So it's not that Rabbi Akiva made the statement, but rather they're paraphrasing. Okay, let's see what it is that they are saying. Av en mishalmin al pi asman. Evim zomemim do not pay based upon their testimony. I will explain what that means. So we have Edim Zomemim. They come to court. They say the defendant owes Mr. Magoo $1,000. So they say the defendant owes Mr. Magoo $1,000, and then they recant. They say, wait, hold on. We recant. We are lying. We never saw this. We weren't there. We have no information about Mr. Magoo, the defendant owing Mr. Magoo $1,000. So you say, okay, they're Edim Zomemim. Let them pay $1,000 to the defendant. No. Why? Because how did you ascertain that their testimony was a lie? How did you ascertain that?
By their own admission.
By their own admission. And the Rabbi Akiva is saying, En mishamim al pi asman. That's a statement. Mishum Rabbi Akiva Amru, Av, En mishamim al pi asman. I want to get my, I forgot my Harambam, so while the recording is going to be taking place, I need to get my books. I apologize. I forgot my Harambam.
Right here. You're going to swap something to hold the.
Yeah, I don't want to
It's
mess
a
it
Diet
up.
Coke here.
On the table.
Just
Diet Coke
extend it.
there. So kind of bottle.
I don't want to mess it up.
Oh.
Okay.
Please, Brian, we go downstairs.
Okay, so that was what we learned in the name of Rabbi Akiva. Okay, so now we're going to analyze this statement. And the first point that the Gemara is going to make is as follows. When Rabbi Akiva or any Tana or any Emorah says something, there could be various reasons for that statement. One reason, for example, could be Kabbalah. He has a Kabbalah from his teachers. Another reason could be Sevara. And I want to explain what the word Sevara means. Sevara people interpret as logic, based upon logic. I don't like that term because logic is, very amorphous. What do you mean by logic? Are you talking about, Greek logic? Are you talking about some other form of logic? What does logic mean? Right? So when the Gemara says sevara, it doesn't really mean logic. It means juridical reasoning. If you're in court, there is a particular reasoning that the Chachamim use in analyzing legal material, right? So the Dayanim, whenever a Dayan has a case that comes before the Dayan, he needs to be able to analyze the case in light of the halachot that he knows, right? So sevara means juridical reasoning, the reasoning of the Chachamim. It's not the common svara. If you say that a short person can't do it, alachat kama v'chama, that a tall person can do it, that's nice yeshiva-ish thinking. But that has nothing to do with sevara. It's because people say, sevara, svara. Anybody can have a svara. I can tell you that the Democratic debate where there were intellectuals, when in reality it was just a clown show. But I can give you a svara why they're brilliant, or I can give you a svara why communism is great and America needs communism, right? The country of 400 million people will be flushed down the toilet. I can still give you a good svara. So svara doesn't mean anything. What is interesting is how the Chachamim analyze subjects, not just intelligently, but based upon halachic reasoning. That's what the word sevara means, and that's really important. It's not a free-for-all. It's not a free-for-all. You understand? I'll give you an example. So, can you cook in a microwave on Shabbat? No, you can't. Is microwave cooking fire? Is a microwave energy fire? So a certain rabbi, and I'm not saying this to be disrespectful, says, of course it's fire. If fire heats this way and microwave heats even more, of course it's fire. That's yeshiva-ish svara, but that has nothing to do with halacha. Microwave is not fire because it's the microwave radiation. It's not chemically or physically related to fire, which is a type of combustion, right? It's two different things. It is asur, of course, to cook on Shabbat with a microwave. I'm not saying it's mutar. I am saying that's a great example of svara in the abstract. Svara, you can do anything, right? You can be matir anything, right? And they always use svara one way, they use it the other way, right? So it's all a free-for-all. But that's not what the Gemara means when it speaks about sevara. So what the Gemara means is, how do the Chachamim analyze subjects based upon legal and juridical thinking? And when I say juridical, I mean, of course, the halacha. Okay, so now let's look at this. My ta'ama de Rabbi Akiva. What was the reasoning behind Rabbi Akiva? Right? Rabbi Akiva made a statement, or his students made a statement in his name. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam she'akol na'am baruch. Right. What is the reasoning, the juridical reasoning behind Rabbi Akiva's statement? Again, what does Rabbi Akiva say? Who wants to repeat it? Who remembers what Rabbi Akiva said? Right, Edim Zomemin cannot testify against themselves. Why not? Why not? Why shouldn't they be able to testify against themselves?
Self-incriminating.
Right, but so what's the idea? He says, Em Meshalmim, by the way, they can testify against themselves. I just want to be even more precise. The actual statement is En mishalmim al pi atzman. That if they come clean and they say, oh, wait, hold on, we were lying. We're so sorry, we were lying. Oh, you were lying. Okay, so pay up. If you were lying, and now you're mazimit atzmecha, you say, here's your, let me give you the actual. These two edim zomimim, they come to court and they say on Sunday morning, we saw the defendant borrowing $1,000 from Mr. Magoo. It was Sunday morning in Prospect Park. They, an hour later, they say, we can't do this. It's a lie. They say, wait, Your Honor, we were lying. Sunday morning, we actually weren't even in Prospect Park. We were somewhere else. We couldn't have even seen it. They're the ones who are saying we're edim zomemim. So normally, if another set of edim would have come and said, "Wait, you weren't in Prospect Park. You couldn't have seen that edut. You were wherever. You were in Utah, Park City, Utah, skiing with us, right?" So what would we tell these edim? We would tell these edim, pay the defendant the $1,000. The $1,000 that you wanted the defendant to pay Mr. Magoo, you pay the defendant $1,000. Now they're the ones who are coming and saying, "Hold on, we were in Park City, Utah." What does the Rabbi Akiva say? They don't pay in that case. Why not? Why wouldn't they pay? That's a question. You got to.
So theoretically, if let's say they didn't have to pay, if let's say, we disagree with the Akiva,
Yeah.
would it have to be after the Gemara Din or even before the Gemara?
Oh, that's a very good question. That's a very good question. The Gemara will actually analyze that specific issue. So I'm going to not answer it only because the Gemara will deal with that. Okay?
Are they still considered Zomamim when they do it themselves, or Zomamim requires a second set?
Right. So so here's the point. We know one thing, that according to the Rabbi Akiva, אנחנו לא עושים להם כאשר זממו לעשות לדefendant. So therefore, formally, they're not edim zomemim. Because edim zomemim, you say, ועשיתם לו כאשר זממו לעשות לאחיו. We're not doing to them כאשר זממו לעשות לאחים. So formally, they are edei sheker. They lied, right? And that's edu sheker. And the consequences of edei sheker is isur deoraita.
You're saying that it is Zomamim but they don't pay, or they're not
No,
Zomamim? And
no.
then they would obviously not pay.
That's what I mean.
They're edei sheker.
They're checkers, so they're not even Zomamim.
Right.
So they're a different category?
It's a different category. Ed zomem has a certain kapara. That kapara is they do to the ed zomem what he would have done to the defendant. This is an ed sheker. You're a liar. It's a different thing. Ed sheker. What does an ed sheker mean? Ed sheker means that the two guys come to court and they make a testimony. They testify whatever, and it ends up they were lying. They were lying. Not that two witnesses came and say, "Wait, you couldn't have seen it because you were with us in a different place. So how could you have seen that?" That's what Tim Zomim mean. Ed sheker, no. It ends up they were lying. We have evidence that they were lying. Whatever the evidence is, and however we present it. That's a bad one.
So what?
That's a real. By the way, Edim Zomim is also bad.
Yeah, but this is, I think.
But at least here we can say at least there's some kapara. In the case of death penalty, it's not necessarily a good kapara. But let's say in the case of pain, there's some sort of kapara. But the point being, formally they're not Edim Zomimim.
So why is saying Af and Mishalmin? Obviously not if they're a sheker.
Well, that's how you know there. That's how you know en mishalmin.
In
In other words, that's the point of Rabbi Akiva. That is the point. You're saying, well, okay, obviously if they're not edim zomim, what would they pay? And say, well, when you say obviously they're not edim zomim, it's because you agree with Rabbi Akiva and you're following on. But if Rabbi Akiva didn't say it, right?
He could have just given the overall concept.
No, en mishalmin al pi atzman.
Don't
Don't forget, mishum Rabbi Akiva amru.
Right.
It wasn't a formal statement. Apparently there was some lesson that Rabbi Akiva gave in the yeshiva. We don't know what that lesson was. And based upon that lesson, the Talmidim came and they said, Edim Zomemim, that they're the ones who say we were not there, we were somewhere else, we couldn't have seen it. Lo sim, and they're not considered Edim Zomemim, they don't pay. What was the lesson? We don't know. It's almost like this is a vestige. It's like, you find like archaeology, you dig, you find this tool, you're trying to figure out what is that tool, what does it mean, what was it used for? That's all we have. We have nothing else.
It's strange why it's included in this category with the other three. The other three cases are Zomamim.
Because it's an important law. So you'll see that it's an important law. By the way, the halacha is like this statement.
So why isn't
The
that?
halacha, just one second. The halacha is like this statement. So it's an important statement. The halacha, and I'm going to read it to you in a moment, Beli Neder, is like this statement. Let me just get him because he was waiting and then I'll get to you. Yes, sir.
Questions. First one, quick question is, the edim, in this case, the edut sheker, is they can withdraw their edut and therefore not allow any punishment to the person they're accusing. That would be accepted by the court, correct?
Oh, we'll deal with that. Not so simple.
Not so
Hold on.
Okay, second question would be, let's say you have two sets of witnesses. The first set comes in and accuses. The second set knows that these people were lying, and they lied in their testimony saying that they were with us
Right.
at such and such place.
Right.
They were proven to be false, but the first set were also false in a case,
Right.
meaning
Right.
they just made up a
So
story
we
that
saw-
they were with us, but they were lying
Right.
also.
So the first set of witnesses would be Adar Sheker. The second set of witnesses would be.
But the first set was
Sheker
proven.
also.
The
Also.
first set was proven to
Same.
have been lying also.
Right now, the
all
second
along.
set would also be Adim Zomemim because they wanted to bring upon, and we would do to the second set what we would have done to the first set at the
But
second set.
originally, the guy they're accusing was
testimony.
innocent.
Accept it. Right. I'm
Originally,
sorry.
the guy that they were accusing was innocent all along.
Right, no,
and
it
they
doesn't
just
matter.
kind of brought it to light.
Right, it doesn't matter. Meaning, it's true that the first set is Adar Sheker. I got that. The second set are Adim Zomemim. We're going to do to them what they want to do to the first set, and of course, an innocent guy is an innocent guy.
So
But
even though they prevented someone from
it
getting
doesn't
punished,
matter. Doesn't matter because they were lying. You can't come to court and lie. The ends don't justify the means. Yes, sir.
So why isn't there at least a partial penalty for wasting the court's time?
What do you mean? There's always a penalty.
They
What's the
test-
penalty?
You say
But
they don't have to
right,
pay
no,
a penalty.
whatever the Edim can have, the Edim, people who waste the court, people who are disrespectful to the court. There's many things the court can do, not the least of which is lashing, makat mardud.
Right.
They can put him in nidui. Hashem can take care of the person. That's a separate issue. Right now we're dealing with the legal issue of Edim Zomimim. Yes, sir, Elliot? And send a message to Mikey that because we have two more people, and if he comes, we'll be good. Yes,
Rabbi Akiva is saying they're worse.
yes.
No?
The Rabbi Akiva is saying that who's worse?
Not the
I see what you want to say. Interesting. Okay. What Rabbi Akiva is saying is that they're not Edim Zomemim. Let Hashem decide worse, better,
they did
the
something
middle.
against
Yeah,
the Torah.
of course. I mean, they all, Edim Zomemim did something against the Torah, Adar Sheker did something against the Torah. We know that Edim Zomemim, they get certain punishment, and in a sense, that was a good thing for them.
So,
Because,
yeah,
right.
there's a way out for them. There's an exit for them.
They're sheker bar minan. We don't want to ever go down that road. Maybe one day we'll study some of the laws of edut and shavuah and what would happen when they would make a shavuah. I'll tell you a story. There was once a case with Haram Mordechai Eliyahu, and there was a person who was owed some money. And it ended up that according to the halacha, he was modeh b'miksat ta'ana. He was modeh b'miksat ta'ana, so he had to make a shavuah. According to the halacha, he would have to make a shavuah on the rest of the money. Modeh b'miksat nishba. So anyway, Harav Mordechai Eliyahu, and this is the correct standard today, practice in Israel. The correct practice in Israel today is that they don't allow people to make shavuah. They do not allow people to make shavuah, because a shavuah was a frightening thing. It was not just frightening for the person making the shavuah, it was frightening for the people in the presence of the person making the shavuah, because it was considered a terrible, terrible desecration, has v'shalom, if a person makes a shavuah sheker, and even the people in the presence were afraid. So anyway, so the practice in Israel because of this is not to have people make shavuot. We have enough problems in Israel. We don't have to be from parades, celebrating, certain lifestyles to many problems in Israel. So we don't need the problems of Shavuot Sheker. So that's something we can save ourselves. So what do? They do Peshara. So Aram Lechaliah wanted to do a Peshara. This guy insisted. He says, no, it's my right to make a Shavuot. I don't want a Peshara. I want to make a Shavuot. I want to come, and I don't want to pay a penny more than I owe. And Aram Lechaliah pushed back. He says, look, we don't do Shavuot nowadays. We just don't do it. But the guy insisted. He said, I'm not accepting the Pesach of the Betin. He was chatzuf. Anyway, he said, okay. You want to make a Shavuot? Listen, it's a din Torah. The din Torah is modeh b'miksat ta'ana nishba. You make a Shavua on a Sefer Torah. So he says 8 o'clock at night, tomorrow night, come to the Knis. We have the, not 8 o'clock at night, I'm sorry, it was in the daytime. Come to the Knis. We have the Sefer Torah ready, make a Shavua.
Wow.
So everybody's in the court, they come to the Knis, have the Sefer Torah there. They're waiting. 8 o'clock, he's not there. 8:30, he's not there. 9 o'clock, they get a call, the guy died.
Wow.
He died on the way to court. Okay? We don't have people make Shavuot Sheker, and if Bar Minan, a person makes a Shavuot Sheker, Bar Minan, it brings, Harambam says, it brings sarot on all of Am Yisrael. So we don't let them make Shavuot. In this case, Hashem was merciful with us. The guy wanted to make a Shavuot. Hashem didn't let him make the Shavuot Sheker. He stopped him, and he did what needed to be done. My point to you is that Hashem sees the Sheker, Edim Zomemin. If the Dayanim punish the guy, great. They don't punish him. Hashem has ways of getting to the people and doing what needs to be done. Okay? Last question. Yes, sir.
Now, I know that the person who's really did lie and he lied next to the Sefer Torah, right? And after,
Bar Minan.
yeah, but after a few months he's died. But he knew he was lying, right? But he did show and he died. You know.
Bar Minan. Shalom Nidal. It's a terrible Avera, and we don't need. That's why I fully support that there's no Shavuot in. People don't have Yirat Shamayim today. Whatever. It's just terrible that they would lie on a Sefer Torah. Shalom Nidal. Okay, let's now get back to the Gemara. Let's get back to the Gemara. My ta'amad Rabbi Akiva. What is the juridical reasoning behind Rabbi Akiva's Pesach or lesson? Let's say it was a lesson that Edim Zomemim will not pay based upon their own self-incriminating testimony. Why not? Answer: Kasavar. Kasavar again. What does kasavar mean? Juridical reasoning. Kenasahu. The idea is that when an Oed Zomem pays money, he is not paying restitution. If you took my watch and my watch is worth $1,000, I can go to court and I can tell him, I want you to pay me $1,000. That's restitution. I want to be made even. You made me lose $1,000. I want the money back. Pay up. So I go to court. That's that's called mammon. But then there's something called kenas. Kenas means penalty. A penalty is not restitution. We're not looking at the person and saying, wait, you just took $1,000 from him, or you caused him $1,000 damages, pay him $1,000. No. There is such thing as a kenas. Robber goes into the house, he takes $1,000, he pays $2,000. He's not paying the $2,000. The first $1,000 is restitution. The second $1,000 has nothing to do with restitution. It's a punishment. It's a kenas. We're punishing him for his misdeed. So the sevarav Rabbi Akiva is that when edim zomemim pay, they're not paying as an act of restitution. They're paying as an act of punishment. It's a penalty, and there's a principle with penalties, and the principle is muknas en meshalem al pi asmo. If a person comes to court and he says, I am hayav a kenas, he's patur me'akenas. He's patur me'akenas. I'll give you an example. The robber comes to court, they bring him to court, and he finally admits. He admits, yeah, I robbed. Yeah, it was me. I'm the one who took the $1,000
They have
from
no
you.
evidence against them.
They had no evidence against him. They had no evidence. Or if they had evidence, they didn't have evidence. Okay, make it simple. They didn't have evidence. They bring him to court, and he says, "You know what, Your Honor? Yeah, it was me." They wouldn't make him pay the $1,000, $2,000. They would only make him pay the $1,000 because he's modeh. So modeh biknas patur. So here, if you say that edim zomemim, it's a kenas. If they're modim in the act, they're modim to the crime. They say, Your Honor, we wish to inform you that we're liars. We couldn't have seen that because we weren't there. We were somewhere else. So at this point, they become edim zomemim, and I'm sorry, they would have to pay a kenas. And if you have to pay a kenas, well, you're patur me'a kenas and mishalem al pi asmo. So interesting. So then to address your question, Albert, so maybe they are edim zomemin, but they're just edim zomemin who are not going to pay a kenas. Interesting. What are they?
It's like a ganab. If he steals, he's still a ganab. He still stole $1,000. It's just that his punishment or his,
Yeah.
he has to pay.
What's the status of
Right.
this
So what's
edim?
the status of
You can say
edim?
they're still edim zomemin.
They're still
edim who were not there. They put
edim
not
zomim. Interesting.
on the scene.
So that's an interesting question. Are they edim zomemin? It's an interesting question. From this analysis, it would seem to me yes, they are edim zomemin, but they don't pay the kenas. That's what it would seem to be. I have to solve as we're reading the sugya. That's why it's beautiful about studying Gemara, is that these issues they kind of untangle, and then you can see the threads more clearly.
They're not edim sheker anymore.
Well, that's what we're not so sure about. Are they considered edim zomemin or are they simply edim sheker?
So it appears that they are edim zomemin. It appears, yes, they're edim zomemin, but just like the ganav who admits, yes, I was a ganav, okay, you don't have to pay the kenas. These edim zomemin, because they admitted, yes, we weren't there. You're right, we weren't there. So they don't have to pay the kenas. So
And they walk free.
and they walk away free. Well, again, I don't know what Hashem does. I always say that's between God and the person. People always complain about, the law. If there's no two edim, you can't do anything. People get away free. Nobody gets away free. Nobody gets away with anything in life. People are really, it's just such a naive attitude to think, oh yeah, he got away with murder. Then even O.J. Simpson got away. O.J. Simpson didn't get away with anything, by the way. He lived a miserable life. I mean, really, really, what misery, from the Heisman Trophy to being just the laughing stock of every Tonight Show host. So anyway, nobody gets away with anything.
Maybe they make teshuvah.
Maybe they make teshuvah 100%. 100%.
Before it says turn around down dvarim nemru be'edim zomemin.
Right.
So the following four are edim zomemin.
No, right, but the Rabbi Akiva added. There was, in other words, that beraita recorded a statement that was made by probably the students of Rabbi Akiva who brought that. It wasn't part of the beraita. There was a Satan beraita which was sort of universally acknowledged, and then there's the statement of Rabbi Akiva. But nevertheless, let me read you the halacha as Rambam brings it in Perek Yod Het of Elchot Edut halacha Het. I'm going to read it to you now. Perek Yod Het halacha Het. Chiyuv ha'edim zomemim leshalem b'makom shechayavim leshalem. When edim zomemim are obligated to pay, assuming that they're obligated to pay because they were caught, kenasu. It's a penalty. It's not restitution. It's a penalty. You see, just like Rabbi Akiva. Ulfichach en mishamim al pi asman. Therefore, they would not be obligated to pay that penalty based on their own testimony, because one never has to pay a penalty based on one's own testimony. Here's an example. Kesam. Hare shehe'idu v'nehkera edutan bebet din. Okay, they come to court. They're interrogated. Where were you? What day was it? What day of the month was it? What year was it? They ask them a bunch of questions. Where were you? 6 questions about time, 1 question about space. That's always done. So they have back and forth interrogation. Okay. ונחקרה עדותם בבית דין, ואחר כך אמרו שניהם עדות שקר העלנו, ואין לזה אצל זה כלום. And before there was a gemar din, before the judges made a judgment, they're beginning to sweat. Maybe they started to have like some vision of a malach hamavet coming, and they said, "Oh, this looks really scary." They say, "Your Honor, we're really sorry. We were lying." Okay, that's going to be a situation where we say they don't have to pay, because it would have been a kenas. You walk away free from the betin, but not right. Oh, another example. שאמרו העדנו על זה בכך וכך והוזמנו. אין משלמים על פיהן. They come to a court and they tell the court, we previously were in another court and we previously were edim zomemim, and there was no gemer din for whatever reason. The other court didn't have a gemer din. They never reached a verdict. Now they're in another city, and they tell the court in the other city, listen, we did this terrible avon. there's a story in the Gemara that these robbers, they're walking with one of the Emoraim, one of the Hachamim, and the Hacham is going from city A to city B. It's a long journey, and like smack in the middle of the journey, the robbers come to him. So they're walking with him, and he understands these guys are like they're gonna take away all his money, take away everything he owns. So he's like talking to them friendly. He's like, he's like. So they say, "Where are you going?" They say, "Oh, I'm going to city C, really far away." In reality, he was going to a city that was much closer. So I was like, he's talking. He's like, making friends. Eventually they're going to mug him, but he's trying to, relax them because anyway, they have a long time till they get to city C. Anyway, they get to city B. He says, "Bye. See you guys later." They say, "You liar! You lied to us." It's always like this, by the way. The worst crooks always view everybody else as crooked. They're always the victims. It's always like that. Okay, never met a criminal who didn't feel that he was the real victim. Okay. Anyway, "You liar." He says, "Listen, I may be a liar, but I'm putting all of you in Haram." Okay, so what happens? They're going back to their businesses, and they can't make any money. Every one of them fails in business, and finally, every one of them except for one person, they apologize. They say, "Please, release us from the Haram." And he releases them. He releases one. There's one person who refuses to be released. And that one person, after 7 years, 14 years, he can't make a penny. His other friends are finally matzlichim. They're back on their feet. This other robber refuses to apologize. And at the end of 20 years, he comes to the Hacham and says, "Please, can you just release the Haram?" He begs him. He says, "Okay, I'll release the Haram." Okay? So, the idea of these Idim coming to the court and saying, "We lied."
From the other court.
They're coming to the second court. "Yeah, we lied. I can see it. Like, what do? We lied. We made an avon. Like, you want to be released from the avon. You don't want that avon on you anymore because it's like, it's holding you down and you get it. Okay? Like I said, nobody gets away with anything. So I understand what happened to these Adim. So they come to the second court, they say, "Please, like, we lied. What do we do? Tell us what to do." Well, it's good news and bad news. The good news is you don't have to pay anything. And the bad news is you don't have to pay anything. Because they would have loved to pay. They want to do something. Right? They want to kapara. Sorry. En meshamim al pihem. Okay? En meshamim al pihem. Okay, so let's continue.
So what happened to them in the second point? They walk away free also?
So, okay, that's it. You walk away free. You just confessed. It's a kenas, penalty. You confess to the penalty.
Walk away.
Walk away. Just walk away.
Right, the kanas is you pay the original amount back, just don't pay an additional amount.
No, but they didn't have to pay. No, because what happened is in the original court, they lied, but there was no gemer din. There was no gemer din. In other words, for some reason, the judge wanted to make a Pesach halacha. Maybe he was going to say, "Come tomorrow morning, we'll make the final Pesach, the final verdict." They ran away to Timbuktu. Final verdict never took place. But the fact is, they lied in court. So now they're coming to a second court and they're saying, "Listen, we lied. We didn't see the testimony. We weren't even there. We were in a different place." This is what they're telling the second court. We're adim zomemin, right? So the second court will tell them, "Well, I'd love for you guys to pay the defendant, but bottom line is, it's a kenas. So I'm not going to make you pay the defendant."
So you're saying that the Adim have to remain in court through the verdict? They cannot give testimony and then leave, and in the absence of, and the judge.
Right, no, right.
And
In
the
other
judge
words,
makes a verdict.
for whatever the reason is, there could be a variety of reasons why no gemer din was made. Don't know what the reason is. Defendant ran away, maybe he ran away, whatever the reason, there was no verdict. But years later, it's hanging on their soul
Conscience.
like a heavy stone, and they just want to take the stone away. Like the story I brought you with the Hacham, and those robbers that finally realized, what the heck did we do? But it happens. I've heard stories of Hachamim, who somebody wanted to cheat the Hacham in business, and then years later the guy calls him up apologizing, begging the Hacham for forgiveness. I've heard stories like that, because why would they do that? They did that because they were suffering, and they suddenly realized, oh my gosh.
Crime and punishment.
Young man, did you have a
Yeah.
question?
So would the like the robbers in your case, would they not give themselves in just so they could pay the kapara?
Well, that's a nice question, but for whatever reason, they came to the first court. How they come to the first court? We don't do anything to them. They came to the second court. They don't do anything to them. They just want the suffering to stop. They're not thinking in such a sophisticated way. They want the pain to finish. So you go to the Hakam will tell them, here's what you should do. But that's a religious issue, not so much a legal issue, right? So sometimes the Hakam will say, make a ta'ani, make 10 ta'aniyot, give tzedakah, do this, do gemilut hasadim, study Torah. There's a lot of things that the Hakam can tell the person, do this because you are in trouble, right? Whatever that trouble is. But legally, there's nothing we can do. It's a court. Court is bound by the laws, and there's so much the court here, Bedin Shel Mata, can do so much. That's our limit.
Ultimately, the teshuvah is much more important than just paying $1,000, right? If you think about it, how God's going to look at them. They paid $1,000 and they're still, scheming, or they made full teshuvah and they don't have to pay $1,000.
Yeah.
No, but what if there is judgment? What happens?
What do you mean if there's judgment? Oh, that's a different story. We'll get there. We'll see that. It's a very good question. The Gemara will deal what happens when there's Gemer Din. We'll see that in a moment. Any reply from Mikey? Because I can bring my...
He didn't answer. Should I text
Okay. Yeah. Tell Ike to come with Mark. Can help me 2 people. And if anybody has a person that they can bring, that'd be great.
So is there any difference,
Yeah.
I know American court, any difference between a shavua and an affirmation? Because here, instead of saying, I swear to tell the
Right, that's right. So that's...
I affirm to tell the
Right, no, they don't have that, right? They don't have that in the Jewish court. Okay, let's continue. So Amar Rava. And now it comes Rava, and by the way, it's Rava with an Aleph, not with the He. If you look at the Munich manuscript, it has Rava, not Rabba, and it makes a lot of sense that it's Rava and not Rabba. Rava was a 4th generation Emorah. He was the Rosh Yeshiva in Mechozah, but before he was the Rosh Yeshiva in Mechozah, he was a Talmid of Rab Nachman bar Yaakov. And his friend, he had a few friends that studied with him, but one of Rava's friends was Rab Nachman bar Yitzchak. So Rab Nachman bar Yitzchak and Rava with an Aleph, they were 4th generation Emoraim, and they used to study from Rab Nachman bar Yaakov. Rab Nachman bar Yaakov was one of the great Dayanim in the Gemara, right? His father was a Dayan in Nehardea, student of Shemuel, who was a greatest Chacham in Dinei Mamonot ever. So in any event, so just getting back to Rava, who's going to make the statement, and his friend Rab Nachman bar Yitzchak, who's going to make a statement right after him. So you see the history, it's Rava with an Aleph, and Rab Nachman bar Yitzchak. So as the Munich manuscript has it, sometimes, this was done by people. As this particular, meaning these editions, it was a business. So they printed Gemarayot, but when you look at the old Gemarayot, sometimes you have the more accurate versions. As it is, the business people had profit motives in mind and not necessarily other motives. Okay, yes, correct. Amarava, Tera, Share lo asu ma'aseh. That's it. That's a statement. It's not in the original thing. I'm reading it again. Amarava, Tera. Please. I'm sorry, not please. Take away the word, please. Ponder. Tera means ponder upon this. Shehare lo asu ma'aseh. These edim zomemim. We previously established that this is a lav she'en bo ma'aseh. And even if their plans were foiled, they still pay. Wait, if their plans were foiled, they still pay. Well, hold on. So you have these 2 edim. They come and they say the defendant owes Mr. McGill $1,000. And then a second set of edim come and they say, hold on, you're a bunch of liars. You got the story already, I don't have to repeat it again. These 2 edim, the first set, they're edim zomemim, they have to pay $1,000 to the defendant. Well, wait, why would they have to pay $1,000 to the defendant? The defendant didn't lose any money. Nobody took money from the defendant. Why do they have to pay him? It's a penalty. You see, so ponder. So Rabbi is saying, ponder upon this. Remember, it's sevara. If you think about it intelligently, yes, it's a kenas, it's a penalty. Lo asu ma'aseh. Okay. Comes Rav Nachman. He uses the same terminology. You see, these two guys were friends. They studied Torah together with their teachers. They studied Torah with Rav Nachman bar Yaakov. This is Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak. Okay, just so you know, it's two different Rav Nachmans. So there's Rava and Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak. They're the two young pupils. And then there's Rav Nachman bar Yaakov, who was their teacher. They also studied Torah with Rav Hista. So they have a history together. Look, he uses the same language. He says Tera. His friend Rav Nachman says Tera. Ponder upon the subject. Shehare mamon beyad. It says be'alim here. It's just not accurate. You know that because why do you need mamon beyad be'alim? Mamon beyad be'alav is actually what it says in the Munich manuscript. Be'alim means two. Be'alav means one. Why do we need two be'alim? Well,
Don't you always have a plural with that? Like even in Torah, like be'alev and Moshe.
right,
Or even be'alav, it would be be'alot if it were singular.
Mhm.
Singular.
Okay, point well taken. Point well taken. Okay, I concede the point. No, I do concede the point. It does say in the Munich edition it says be'alav, but you know what? Let me see what it has. Also Rabbeinu Hananel has be'alav. Sharei mamon beyad be'alav. Right, and I have a very old edition of the Rif. I actually have the oldest edition of the Rif in the world, in existence, in my office, but it's a manuscript. So it's a photocopy, I'm sorry. So don't get excited. It's a photocopy. It's not the original. It's a photocopy of the original, but still it's a great
You have
resource.
text off it. I mean,
What?
It's still, you still have the text. I mean, it's not as
Yeah.
valuable financially, but in terms of.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, I totally accept it. Okay, maybe later on I'll take it, but here it says be'alav also. Okay, getting back to the point. Rav Nachman says ponder upon it. The money is still in the hands of the defendant, and yet they have to pay, right? So the Gemara says, wait, hold on 1 second. Mai nihu, right? When Rav Nachman said that the money is still in the hands of the defendant, what exactly did he mean by that? What did he mean to say by that? What's his point? That lo asu ma'aseh, that they didn't do anything. And even though they didn't do anything, they still have to pay. That's identical to what Rava just said. So I don't understand. It says, Amar Rava, Teda share lo asu ma'aseh. Very nice. Amar Nachman, Teda share mamon beyad be'alav. Rav Nachman is just really repeating the words of Rava, just a little differently. So, Haino de Rava, why is he just repeating the words? And the Gemara says, Emma, there was a miscommunication in the transmission. The original transmission had Vechen Amar Rav Nachman. Rav Nachman also said, meaning Rav Nachman was coming to repeat what his friend Rava said in different words. So here we have two great Hakamim saying the same. Exactly, because when you have one rabbi says A and another rabbi says B, the implication is that there's a slight divergence between the rabbis, right? But there is no divergence here. That's what the Gemara is saying. They're saying the same thing. Says, oh, you're right. And the correct transmission would have been Vechen Amar Rav Nachman. So it should have said Amar Rava, and then it should have said Vechen Amar Rav Nachman, the same thing in different words. In any event, what do we see here? We understand the juridical reasoning behind Rabbi Akiva's position that the Edim Zomemim don't have to pay if they self-incriminate because it's a penalty. How do we know it's a penalty? Well, obviously it's a penalty because even if they didn't do anything to the defendant, they still have to pay him. That's a penalty. That's not restitution. Good. Here's where we are. Is there any material that sheds light upon Rabbi Akiva? So far it's all Sevaram. The Sevaramim, we have no sources. We have no Kabbalah. We have no sources. We have no Mekorot. Is there something in all the Tanaitic world of Beraitot that somehow sheds light upon the statement of Rabbi Akiva? Answer: no. Okay, next question. Is there anything in the world of the Emoraim? Did some Emorah somewhere, sometime say something that sheds light upon this statement of Rabbi Akiva? And the answer to that is yes. And now we are going to bring an Emoraitic statement. And this Emoraitic statement is actually a riddle. It's a riddle. And the solution to the riddle, we will see what, we'll read the statement, we will then see the solution to the riddle. The solution to the riddle actually bears upon the statement of Rabbi Akiva and will give us a broader and even a more precise understanding of the statement of Rabbi Akiva. So I just want you to understand what's happening in the Gemara. We brought the statement of Rabbi Akiva. We explained the idea behind the statement. We brought Rabbah. We brought Rav Nachman, who both explained to us what it's about. But now we want to have this riddle. We're going to read it because it will enlighten us. Okay? So let me read it. Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Amar Rab, Oed Zomem, Meshalem lefi chelko. Okay. Oed Zomem, Meshalem lefi chelko. Here's the riddle. Rabbi Yehuda, in the name of Rab, they were Emoraim. Rab was the Rosh Yeshivat Surah, the founder of Surah, or at least from the early generations of Surah. He was originally from Eretz Yisrael. He came to Babel. His Rabbi Yehuda, one of his Talmidim, makes the following statement: Oed Zomem, Meshalem lefi chelko. If I had to translate this without being biased or without being prejudiced, it means that Ed Zomem has to pay the proportional amount of the damage that he would have caused to the defendant. So, for example, you have two edim. They come and they say the defendant owes Mr. Magoo $1,000. Ed Zomem Meshalem lefi chelko means that each ayed pays $500 because that's a proportional amount of the damages they would have caused to the defendant. Okay, that's a statement, but it's not so simple. And you'll see in a moment why it's not so simple. My Meshalem lefi chelko. What does he mean? What does he mean when he says that they have to pay the proportional amount? Ilema deha meshalem palga. Deha meshalem palga. Perhaps you want to say what I just said about a minute ago, that each one of the edim has to pay half of the damages, half, because it's two edim. So if it was pay $1,000 to Mr. Magoo, well, each ed will pay $500. Is that what you mean? Hai mishalem palga. He pays half.
What if one can't afford 500?
It doesn't matter.
He pays 250
Right.
and 750.
Whatever. Right? No, you can't. No, he doesn't owe it. I mean, he can do his friend a favor, but that's between.
Either one would have been zero. So each one.
Right. But the point is that the correct explanation? That each one pays 500? Tanena. Well, we actually have a Mishnah that says exactly that. Mishaleshim b'mamon, ve'en mishaleshim b'malkut. Mishaleshim b'mamon means that each ayed has to pay the proportional amount. Here's the point. If you have an explicit Mishnah that says each ed has to pay the proportional amount, you're not going to have Rabbi Yehuda in the name of Rav saying exactly what the Mishnah just told us. We don't need an Emorah to teach us. It's like, guys, I have a great lesson to tell you today. Here's my lesson. You have to say Kari'at Shema from the moment that the Kohanim enter to eat the terumah. It's like, that's not a chidush. That's a Mishnah. You all know that Mishnah. That's not a chidush. So Rabbi Yehuda is not making a well. What does Rabbi Yehuda want to teach us today? Oh, what the Mishnah said? Okay, well, no. So he's not teaching us what the Mishnah says. He must be teaching us something else. So let's give it a second try. We gave it one try. Perhaps it means as follows. Ela keron de itzam chad minai. By the way, the Munich manuscript has the itzam chad minai. I think it's better than itzum. Itzum means plural, if I'm not mistaken. Itzam means singular. So I'm going to go again with the Munich manuscript. And let me just look quickly at Rabbeinu Hananel. I can't find it. Okay. It doesn't mean that it's not here. I'm just Okay. Ela keron de'itzam chad minayu. Perhaps it means that only one of the edim became an ed zomem. And perhaps the lesson is that if only one ed becomes an ed zomem, he pays half and the other pays nothing. How can you have a situation like that? The Reuven and Shimon come and say the defendant owes Mr. Magoo $1,000. We saw it. We were there when Mr. Magoo lent him the money. It was in Prospect Park Sunday morning. Come another two set of edim. They say, wait, Reuven, is that you? You were in Prospect Park Sunday morning. You were in Park City, Utah, skiing with us Sunday morning. They're not talking about Shimon now. They're only talking about the Reuven. But Reuven became an edzomem. Shimon didn't become an edzomem, so it would appear. So you would say Reuven has to pay $500. He has to pay half of the $1,000 that he would have made. The defendant paid to Mr. Magoo. Is that what it means? Well, the time has come, so we'll wait till next week to finish this lesson.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Two questions are
Okay, go ahead.
The other Ed, they're saying we were there together and we saw this happen.
Right.
So once you disproved one, then the other Ed was giving aid that this guy was with him, which obviously wasn't. So he's obviously a liar as well. Right? Me and Nathan were there. You said, well, Nathan wasn't there. Then I automatically lied because I said I saw it with him.
Well, I mean,
You
it
claim
doesn't,
to be
it
fair
doesn't, it
witnesses.
doesn't,
If
right,
one
no.
of them was
Right, but it doesn't matter. Because we're dealing here with law. And the law is that facts are determined by the testimony of witnesses.
but isn't part of the testimony.
So
we were with?
the testimony of the witnesses went specifically to the Reuven. They know nothing about Shimon. Shimon may have been somewhere else. I don't know. Maybe he was. Maybe it's the most logical thing in the
But
world.
Shimon said he was with
Maybe it was the most logical thing in the world that Shimon wasn't. But it doesn't matter because facts in court, in the Jewish court, are based upon testimony, not upon logic. You bring me a video camera and show it, it's irrelevant in court. Say everybody saw Reuven killing Shimon. We all saw him. Hang him now. Well, we don't hang him. Saif. Saif now. Doesn't matter. We had to have two edim who gave him hatra'ah, who warned him, who told him don't do it, and this is what's going to happen if you do it. This is your punishment. And he says, I don't really care. I'm doing it anyway. And on the spot, he kills the other person. That's the law. That's the way that it works. So let me call up my son now because he can come theoretically.